Returning again to Vivekananda and his understanding of Jnana Yoga, which would be very beneficial around the world if we could just open our minds to Spirit and let Spirit move and guide our thoughts, feelings, behaviors. Just be open to our true self coming through, to our own light coming through. Turns out our own light is part of one light, one great light. Yes, to our senses and minds, we all appear to be separate beings. But to spiritual sight, to enlightened yogis, we are one. Our reality is one. The more we live in consciousness of the one, the more happiness, the less misery. The more separateness we're conscious of, the more misery we experience and conflict. So let's explore this view. In religion, the thrust can be toward oneness or separateness. And we observe this, especially when religion is one of the main reasons for a war. Too often religion separates people and ignores the reality of spirit and oneness. We think religion is to help us become aware of spirit, spiritually awakened, but often it intensifies ego and delusion and ignorance. Like one minister said on my TV way back when, he said, "I hate religion. I love Christ." Because he felt religion could be just very devastating, because it often is. But his relationship with Christ is what he thought was the all-important thing. Anyway, how do you stand? Very often, because of religion, we're the right faith, you're the wrong faith. We're connected with the real God, you're not. We do God's will, you don't. We have the right scriptures, yours were written by the devil. We have the only way, your way is wrong. We will go to heaven, you won't. We are good people, you're bad. And religion too often motivates people to be carried away by their feelings and their sense of separateness and superiority. And I know about this, having been in church for many, many years, because very often is, yes, our brothers and sisters are meditating and worshiping across the street, But, the way they interpret the scriptures, we're not sure they're going to heaven. Whereas we have the right interpretation. We're certain we're going to heaven. And the other people across town, all those other worship places, well, our interpretation is correct and theirs is questionable. So we're not sure about them. We should pray for them. And that's how it goes. Religion too often motivates people to be carried away by their feelings and their sense of separateness. Do you think you could pray for the different religions and religious leaders and the religious people of this world, around the world, I should say, to find the reality of spirit, to know the presence of God, and to realize the oneness, and to love one another? I once asked a missionary from Africa, from the States, who went to Africa. I said, don't you think we should love and care about people of other religions and help them in ways we can? And he said, yes, that's the least we can do. We're called to love people, not give them a hard time because they worship in the wrong building. Now, desires, the desires we have, most often intensify our egos and increase our separateness. So very often in religion and in daily life, the desires are in there creating greater problems. Separateness between people, separate views. I know of a fellow who went to seminary, and based on the way he thought and felt, his seminary suggested he go to another Christian denomination because it was more to his nature. I just love to hear stories like that. Anyway, they sensed in that seminary the oneness, and this beloved person would be more fulfilled in taking another path within the church, within the broad church. Vivekananda makes this point in his study of Jnana Yoga and in his practice of it and in his teaching of it. What makes us miserable? The cause of all miseries from which we suffer is desire. You desire something, and if the desire is not fulfilled, the result is distress. If there weren't that desire, there wouldn't be suffering. Can you pinpoint the desire behind each of your distresses? Very often, if you're troubled about something, what were you wanting or expecting that didn't happen? It's often the cause of anger. You wanted or expected something, and it didn't happen. You're mad. You're suffering from anger. So I'd like you to, if you'd like, make a list of your distresses and then consider, to what extent am I distressed because of a particular desire? But speaking along these lines of desire, it's easy to misunderstand what is meant by giving up desires and thus becoming free from all misery. What does it mean to give up desires? Vivekananda says the solution is this: not that you should not have property, not that you should not have things which are necessary and help your life blossom, flower. Even regarding a luxury, if there is a luxury, maybe it would be beneficial for you and for the infinite spirit to express through that particularly beautiful thing you have. That's possible. But what do you do? The way out of desires and misery, only know the truth about property, having things. Look upon your property as it belongs, with the attitude, it doesn't belong to me or anybody. This belongs to God. Give up the idea of proprietorship and gain the idea of stewards. You're here to look after that house and that land or that beautiful painting. You're here to look after it. You're a steward of it. But that everything that you have in paper or in some account somewhere, everything you have, you're the steward of it. You're looking after it for good and out of love and service for the Lord. Everything belongs to the Lord. You are the steward. And your life will be rich and full, and you will prosper. Give up the idea of I, me, and mine. As the Upanishads say, as you practice yoga, cover everything with the awareness of the Lord. Recognize God in wealth. Recognize God when you're in need. Cover everything with awareness of God. Recognize God in the wealth that you enjoy. and look after it well. God is in, spirit is in the things that you enjoy. They're all made of spirit. It's spirit that creates matter, so you have a house, so that you have beautiful clothing, even beautiful ornaments. Practice this line of thought, awareness of God and oneness in all desires and in all things. Vivekananda says, if you put God in your every movement, in your conversation, in your form, in everything, the whole scene will change. The world, instead of appearing as one of woe and misery, will become a heaven. As it says in the Bible, the kingdom of heaven is within you. See God in everything. At first, you can't see spirit in everything, so you strive to see God in one thing at a time, in yourself, in your loved ones. Down the road, you see God in everything. You may not see this at first, so see it in one person at a time, or one event at a time. God's grace giving you that beautiful possession, or that job, or that opportunity to serve. If at first you can't see spirit in everything, see God in one thing, and then another and another. So if you wish, see God in one thing, then another and another, and cover everything with the knowledge and with the attitude. It's all spirit, expressing in many different ways. And you are, as one of the forms of God, you're here to be a good steward, to look after things well. Steward of the planet, steward of your particular address, and steward of whatever you possess. Belongs to the Lord. You're here to look after it. And less misery comes, and more joy and happiness come. God bless you. Please take time to think about this. Consider the desire in back of every distress you have. Relieve those distresses by looking at these desires and deciding, what do I do about this desire? Or what do I now desire that would be more fulfilling? This is the way of wisdom. God bless you.